Hey guys, so I was recently at Target. I was looking to pick up some more makeup sponges because lately I've been really into using makeup sponges. I typically gravitate towards mostly using brushes to apply my foundation, but lately I've just been really liking it. I really have been liking using the Real Techniques sponge. I have one that I keep at work when I do makeup, and I have one that I have at home, and I've just been reaching for it a lot more typically, especially to do like cream blush, concealer, foundation, just I love it for everything. So I wanted to go to the store and pick up just a couple more inexpensive sponges. I was gonna get a couple more of these, or I've seen the Eco Tools ones that I think are green, but I actually instead found these E.L.F ones. It's a trio, and they actually look like a lot like the Beauty Blender sponge. So I really wanted to try it. I think these were only $6 and you get 3 of them. And I actually took them out of the packaging in the store to kind of like feel them, and they felt pretty nice. So let's give it a go. I also kind of want to mention, just ignore how ridiculously tan I am. I have self-tan that I still need to wash off, so just want to mention that. But anyway, so I want to kind of compare sizes. So this is like the largest size, and these are dry, by the way. So these are the sizes, and this is the size of the Real Techniques compared to the 2 smaller ones. I don't have a Beauty Blender to compare, so I'm going to be doing the majority of my comparisons with the Real Techniques, which I really like. So just based off the first initial feel, they feel actually pretty similar in sponge. It's very soft. It's not, you know, real like hard, like you're smacking your head or whatever with like a really like firm sponge. On the back of the package it says, these sponges are crafted for precision use. The durable latex-free material allows for a controlled used, is that a typo? The durable latex-free material allows for a controlled used for flawless application and blending. Controlled use for flawless application blending, whatever. It says the 3 sizes are enable precise application for all areas of the face. Can be used with cream, liquid, and powder makeup. Reusable and washable. So it just says to wet the sponge and wring out the excess and then bounce it all over the face. Cool. So I like that. So I want to compare the feeling of all 3 now. So this one's real, like real spongy, real bouncy, just like the Real Techniques. This one being smaller feels a little bit less, a little bit more resistant. So these 2 feel a little bit harder. So again, I'm gonna go wet all of these to see kind of what kind of a size difference we get. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So first 2, it definitely, I mean they kind of were around the similar size, so they kind of grew about the same amount. So I'd say this one at least doubled in size. If I could kind of compare, I don't know if you can really see that it doesn't really fit in the shape that it was in originally. And then the next 2, so this one's probably at least double in size, and so is this one as well. So they did get pretty big. These 2, I was noticing they felt a little bit firmer. They do feel a little bit softer now, but still not as nearly as soft as this one feels. This one feels definitely a lot more soft than the smaller 2, which kind of concerns me because I feel like the smaller 2 I'd be mostly focusing closer to the eyes or smaller spots, so I wish they were a little bit softer, but we'll see when we test them out. So I think first what I'm going to do is I always just moisturize, and I'm going to be using foundations that I know the finish of, I know how they work, and concealer. I'm just going to use products I'm really familiar with so I can just really get a good idea of what this sponge is like. So first I'm just going to put on a little bit of moisturizer, and I've been back on the Neutrogena Hydro Boost, so I like this a lot. And I think I'm just going to do primer on one side of my face to see if that has any kind of effect on this sponge. I don't know if it will, but might as well test it out. And I use this, I use any kind of moisturizer every day, whether I use brush or sponge, so I just want to keep my routine as similar as possible so I can just kind of see what the sponge is like. For primer today, I'm going to use just on the right side of my face the Smashbox, just the regular Photo Finish, just a silicone primer. And I'm just going to focus that right here on my pores. I have some smile wrinkles on my forehead. I'll put those on. just to see in case the sponge tends to lift up any foundation, if it's smoother or not with it. Okay, and I just use a little palette. I'm going to use today the L'Oreal True Match Lumi and then the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. I think these are pretty similar in formula, in my opinion, but I just need to mix a little bit of a darker shade and a tad bit of the lighter shade. So if you can see right there, I mixed 2 drops of the darker shade and 1 drop of the lighter shade. I typically don't really have time to go like mix it together, so I also kind of want to see if I just pounce it in there and blend it, how it blends the colors together too. Not everybody does that, but that tends to work for me. So I just dunked it in there, and I'm gonna start with the right side of my face. A little bit. It feels like, it doesn't feel like I'm smacking my face, but I don't know, maybe just because I'm using the bottom part. I also wanted to mention, I forgot to mention, when I was rinsing these out, they do have a little bit of like foam that comes out, so make sure you rinse them out really good when you first use them. So using a sponge definitely soaks up a lot of product. I feel like that was about the amount that I use when I use a brush, and it's pretty much gone. My face is pretty much covered, but I just want a little bit more. I'm just going to go in with that darker shade because I'm going to be washing this off in a minute anyways, because I have to wash off this color guard and I'm going to wash off all this face makeup, but it just looks so light. It doesn't look that bad in real life, but on camera it just looks kind of ridiculous. So I'm just going to take that darker shade, even though I don't even think that shade is dark enough really. I'm going to try using the bottom part. You can't really get into those tight spots, so I'm going to flip it over. And use the side a little bit now, because I didn't really... Using the side actually is a lot softer. The bottom, which is probably just how the shape is, I mean the bottom it's a little bit more flat, so it's a little bit more like pouncing, but using the side you get a lot more give. And I think it blended it all really well. Even with this big sponge, without going in with the smaller sponge, I can get right in to my nose. You can get pretty close under your eye, over the lid. You could do a lot with this. So far I really like it. I feel like compared to this sponge gives me a tiny bit more coverage. I don't know if I maybe didn't rinse out enough water out of this one, but I feel like with this one, because I use it almost 3 to 4 times a week at work, I get a little bit better coverage. So I don't know if maybe it's because I have that real flat edge, and I use that flat edge to really just pounce it on. I can't tell if it's taking away a little bit of coverage. Let's do another layer. So we'll see how a second layer goes. So I'm like really pumping out the foundation. I just did 3 pumps there. I'm gonna continue to go with like the side edge of this. And let's just see how another layer goes. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit of better coverage now. I don't know why it still looks so light. It's just not gonna match. I usually don't have to do 2 layers of this foundation, so I think that says something about this sponge. Especially when I'm using a darker color like that. And I guess my other complaint is that this sponge just looks so dirty now, being white. I mean, it doesn't, you know, every sponge is going to be like that, but I guess that's the nice part about the Real Techniques one being orange, is it kind of hides that. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks good. The foundation looks the same as it always does. You're going to like it if you like a lighter coverage. If you're getting full coverage, you know, maybe it's this foundation. I could try a different foundation. These are more lighter. These are more of a medium coverage foundation in my opinion anyways, and that's what I go for, and that's why I've been liking using a sponge lately. But you know, make sure you wring it out, all the water out. That might have helped. Maybe I didn't wring enough water out, but otherwise I think it looks good. I like the sponge. It's not like smacking my face. So let's go with, I'm going to use this medium one, I think, to try with blush. So I'm going to try this little guy to do concealer. So I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I use this concealer every day. I know how it performs. I'm going to put the normal amount that I normally put on there. I'm going to try to really get in this inner corner, and then why not, we'll just put some on the lid as well. So this one, it feels a tiny bit harder. It's not as soft as the, like, I don't know if you could see the sponge level of it, but it is definitely harder. So I'm going to just see how this goes. Okay, that definitely like picked up. Did you see how much concealer I put on there? I just picked up like all of that concealer and it soaked it right up. And this is wet. So it is a little bit easier to get right into that inner corner. This might even be nice to put on my MAC Soft Ochre. I'm going to try it with that, the eye primer, so we'll try that next. I'm going to wipe a little bit of this off so we can try that. But I feel like it, maybe now that I did the concealer with this eye and it like really soaked it up, it didn't soak up as much on this eye, but I feel like it did soak up quite a bit of product. And again, I'm not, like, this is a good coverage concealer of the coverage level I'm looking for, like medium to good coverage, and I feel like I'm getting light coverage with it right now, so it's just something to keep in mind. If you're looking for really natural makeup, you might like these sponges better because it's not gonna look heavy on you at all, so, which is what some people are looking for, so there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it definitely lightened the coverage level versus using a brush. So I typically use a brush for my under eye concealer, but it did blend it out well. It just lightened the coverage, so, but it is nice. I don't know how much I'd reach for this versus a brush. I love using a brush. Okay, so I want to try a tiny bit of this with, because I use this every day. I want to see how this sponge does with using this eye primer, because I use brushes and I feel like I can never get perfect application with a brush. I always have to like tap it out with my finger or something using the MAC paint pot. But again, I feel like this is a little bit of a hard sponge to be like poking my eye with, but I actually like how that blended that out. I don't get weird creasing. I have like a lot of folds in my eyes, so I kind of like how this is doing my eye primer. So I don't mind that. I'm not mad at it. It could be a little bit softer, but this would be nice to do my eye primer. Now, am I gonna start doing my makeup every day, notice, oh, I need to wet my sponge, go into the other room, wet it, and come back? Probably not. It's probably easier just to grab a brush that I know does just about the same thing in just about as many steps. But, I mean, it didn't do a terrible job. Blended it evenly. It's kind of bright in here, so you can't tell anyways, but I mean, I get the same effect, but it's the same amount of steps. If I have to use one brush to apply and another brush to blend versus going to the bathroom, wetting it, coming back, it's the same amount of steps, so I'd probably still reach for a brush because they're right here. But it could work really good if you like to conceal your eyes every day, or you like to use a paint pot like this. Now I'm going to try a little bit of a blush. So this is a cream blush. This is one I think I've gotten in a Birchbox. So it's like a really bright pink, but I'm pretty sure it shears out a lot, so I'm just going to use the bottom of that and pounce some of that off and just go on the cheek. It is applying the, oh, that's a lot. It's applying the blush really nicely. I like to take my blush a little bit on the nose. Does anybody else do that? It's applying it nicely. It's not picking up any of my foundation. It's blending it out pretty well. It's just, it's tricky. I feel like this blended out blush better, cream blush better than I use like right on the tip right here, and I just do that. So maybe I'll try the tip. It's okay. It's not as good as my Real Techniques sponge. Again, I probably wouldn't reach for this. Yeah, it's making it a little bit patchy. I don't know if it's this blush or if it's this sponge per se. It's a little bit trickier. Go back in with my foundation sponge. It's a little bit trickier to blend out. But again, it's also a harder sponge, so it's kind of like not fluffy like this one, where this one's doing a little bit better job of blending it out. But I'm the type of person, I'll use this for foundation and I'll dump it right in the blush, and then I'll go in, and then the next day I'll use it for foundation, and I'll use it for multiple things, and you know, so I would be fine with just using this sponge for the blush too. I'll mix my foundations and blushes and everything on here. I don't really care about that. So, alright, let's just, for shits and gigs, I want to try, since I tried the blush and everything on there, I'm going to try a little bit of cream highlighter on here. So I know how the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector performs, so I'm going to try that with the big sponge, because I've kind of decided I don't really like the two smaller ones. So I'm just going to put a dollop of that on my little palette. And I'm just going to take like the edge, like right there, and just blend that over the skin. Blended it out nicely. So I like this sponge a lot. Let me make sure that those are $6. No, these are $12. They're $12. Sorry. That's still, I mean, that's like $4 a sponge, but that's not bad. I didn't realize they were $12. Sorry. Sorry. I think it's still worth it. See, this is like, what are these, $6 or $7? I mean, you could get 2 of these for 1 of these, so I'd still probably stick with these. I like the shape of this a lot though. Like, I feel like, ooh, it's a beauty blender, but I don't know, I'll try it out a little bit more. I like the application of it. I just feel like I can do it a tad bit faster with this one, and I keep the coverage. But I do like this. I'm going to continue to use it. I think it came out pretty well. I know some people would use these for applying powder, but I don't really do that, so I'm not really going to test that out. I would try it, because you might like these. You never know. I mean, if you like a lighter coverage, you want, you know, some little sponges to throw in your purse or whatever, it's good. But man, if it was $6, I'd say, yeah, totally get it. But for $12, I mean, maybe if they came out with just an individual for $6 and then the kit for $12, I'd still probably go with the Real Techniques sponge. So I think really quick, I'm going to go try to wash this and see how it does, because I'm curious to see how well it washes up, because this looks disgusting now. And it being white, I want to see if I can get it back to white. So I will be right back. Okay, so final thoughts. Just washed this out. It did wash clean. I don't know if you can kind of tell. I know it's pretty bright. There's still a little bit of staining where I concentrated the majority of my foundation, but that's still pretty good. I mean, I don't get this 100% clean either. You can get like a 2-pack of these for around $10, or even, it looks like around my area that I live in, you could get these at Target for as low as like $5. So for this being $12, apologize again, I didn't know it was $12, that it was $6. It's still pretty good. If you're looking for something that's going to be really like a beauty blender, just the same shape, and you want something a little bit cheaper, maybe to throw in your bag in case you lose it or something, get this one, because I think it is a really nice sponge. It's really soft. I think it did a good job with the makeup. You know, I'm not complaining. But if you want something that's a little bit more money practical, that's going to do everything that this is going to do for half of the price, I'd go with this one, because I do like it. You can get in there with this pointed tip even without having the smaller ones. You know, you could do that with both. They're about the same size. This one might even be a tad smaller, but I mean, this one's been worn. I've probably had this, you've used this plenty of times, and maybe this one will wear out a little bit as well. So, you know, it's kind of your preference. Try it out. I mean, they're not bad. I think the price point is a tiny bit high. I think it'd be nice if they sold this one individually for a little bit lower price, but try it out. I mean, E.L.F. has sales that they do half off everything around Black Friday. Get it, you know, see if you can get this bundle for half off for $6 and then try it, you know, or use a coupon at Target or a coupon wherever they sell this. So at the end of the day, I do like it. I'm going to continue to use it, but if you already have this one, I don't feel like you're missing out on getting the E.L.F. one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I had fun doing this, so I'm going to go shower off this ridiculous tan and just shower off my face and everything, but I'm not mad at how it came out. So hopefully this was helpful. Try it if you want. Otherwise, I just stick to the real techniques. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.